Let the pain begin. I'm at, they call this Hospital Rock here. It's about 2,500 feet elevation. And you can see my Toyota Corolla has a ground clearance of a Vietnamese potbelly pig, so it's not going to do too well in snow. Where the actual trailhead, Sierra High Sierra Trail, is at 6,000 feet or so. So if it snows or whatever, I'm kind of hosed. So I'm doing it in low elevation and go back up. Yeah, this alternate route that I took was a ass kicker. Just up and down, up and down. But it's alright, it's what it's all about. You do a mock bug out, and this is the stuff that'll teach you, that teaches you what's your capabilities and stuff. This is not easy, but at least I'm not post-holing. I'm gliding on top of the snow here. As long as I take nice, slow, even steps, I'm good to go. Though I am real awkward with these things. Still going uphill. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I can't see doing many miles with these, but it can at least get you out of a jam. Final resting place before I turn back. Finally made it up to High Sierra Camp. It's en route from the High Sierra Trail. It's on the route there, so but I think this is going to be my turnaround point. I already heard that there's like 3 or 4 foot of powder on the trail itself. I had a snowshoe through maybe 2-3 feet of it, and that wasn't fun at all. So Mount Whitney from this point here is 50 miles away. So there's no way I'm going to do 50 miles over there and 50 miles back. You can imagine. I already suffered coming up through that, the Middle Forks trail. It was all uphill. So don't know what my elevation is up here. I think it's 7,000, 8,000, something like that. But I started off at 2,700 feet. So you figured for the past 2-3 days, I climbed 5,000 feet to get to this point right here with a heavy pack. So I'm looking forward to doing downhills tomorrow. But it was worth it. I got my snowshoe in the entrance there, so as an early warning device in case a bear wants to get in there. I seen a track over there somewhere. Pretty big boy too. Just going that way. I don't know how old the track is, but he's out here somewhere. So got one in this entrance and my other shoes on the other entrance over there. This is my sleeping arrangements. So war bonnet with an underquilt and overquilt. And then for cold weather, I'm using Northern Outfitters sort of like snow pants. This is what the Iditarod people use, and it's been doing pretty good compared to down. I'm sort of going to shy away from down because it's just too fragile for this type of deal out here. I mean, it's great, but this back here I already tore it twice. Well, this hasn't been a full winter bug out. The temperature here in California is pretty mild, at least today. We're in December, beginning of December. And they got some snow some time ago here. If I go further up that way, I will hit some snow drift that's like 4 feet deep, and so that's what stopped me from going any further. But I did do maybe a mile worth of snowshoeing to get up to this point here. I think we're in 8,000 feet, something like that, and that wasn't fun at all. That's hard work. So you can imagine trying to go through 50 more miles of snowshoeing across the Sierras during winter. The calorie consumptions to do that is not possible to carry all that food with you. You have to have some resupply points. Then, if you do bury a cache full of food, you're going to have a hard time finding it or digging it out from the snow. So I'm thinking that going across the Sierras during winter is solo, even with resupply points, probably not possible for the most of us. For the hardcore, maybe so with some experience, but it's hard going. It's truly hard going. I think I would much rather take my chances in the valley with the nutcases down there than go through this up here. But during summer, spring, or fall, game on. You could totally do this one way. So that's what I'm taking out of this particular trip. And you have to go out here to find these things out and not have some romantic notion of hitting for the hills and living out here. It's harsh. Those moon boot tracks on the ground, those are mine from coming up here. So the forecast is 50% of rain and possible snow. I really didn't want to get caught in that, so on the way down, I wanted to make sure I make it down before the snow comes so it won't cover up my tracks. I think if it would have snowed, the trail would have been covered up, and I would have had a heck of a time trying to find my way back without a GPS. But I do have a GPS, but those are not 100% reliable. Do have a compass and map, so I will make it out of here if that were to happen, but it's just a thought there. Yeah, this tree was a recent fall. I could tell because there's still some green on the branches there, and it totally blocked the trail. That would have thrown me for a loop there for a little bit if this was all white out. Well, the only thing that I'm wearing now is Patagonia Capilene 4s expedition weight as a base layer, and I have the bottoms on too, the long johns, but honestly I don't think I need the bottoms. I could just go with the pants that I'm wearing, and these are like TAC 11 511 pants, but from another company. It's all nylon, and it's got the knee pockets so you could put knee pads in them. I'm borderline sweating, or I am sweating actually. It dries off pretty quick, even when I stop after a hard push. Yeah, I'll start to get cold for a little bit, then I'll put on my jacket and all is good, even with the moisture. But it evaporates pretty quick, like I said. Hindsight is 20/20, and this is the trail back, the same trail I took up. Definitely picked the worst trail, or a pretty tough trail, to make this sort of winter excursion here. The usual High Sierra trail, the actual trailhead starts off at 6,000 feet, 6,700 feet rather, and then you pretty much go straight, you know, through the trail at that same level, dancing around that same level until you hit the granite cliffs and stuff. Then you start going up over passes, where this, I started off at 2,700 feet, so it was uphill from the get-go with no let up. I could see why it took me 3 days to get up there. This wasn't no joke. Good morning, guys. This is the 5th and final day, and I'm making the final haul today to go back to the car and go back home. This stretch right here is going to probably be 7-8 miles, but it's all downhill. Just going straight down this canyon here to the main road, so it should be easy for me. As far as making it to Mount Whitney, that was a high goal that obviously I didn't make, or anybody else would either. I mean, you would have to really be on top of your A game to do that, realistically. Things I took from this Bugout shakedown: hike, I used every single piece of gear of my kit except for the axe. And I probably didn't even have to use my saw if I didn't spend the night sharing a campsite with another hiker. He was building a fire. I wasn't going to, but to help out, I went ahead, pulled out the saw, and cut out some firewood for him so we could both share the fire. That was the only time I used the fire. I wasn't planning on using any sort of heat other than the cold weather gear that I brought with me, which performed pretty well at 30, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. I was pretty much toasty every night, practically almost sweating. I didn't get any adverse weather. It was clear skies like today for the past 5 days, so I didn't get hit with any snow, rain, or anything like that. Though I did break out the tarp one night because I heard over the radio, the NOAA weather station, that there was 50% of showers. But overall, the main thing I took out of this Bugout shakedown hike of mine is you need to plant some food caches on your route, whatever route you're going to take, and pay attention to what that location is going to look like during winter, because you could lose the trail and your food cache altogether under many feet of snow. The gear checked out really well, except that the pack itself weighed heavily on my shoulders when I had 20 extra pounds of food on me. So that was a little bit rough on the traps, but nonetheless it held up pretty well. Overall, this trip has been a success as far as my physical abilities, because climbing up 5,000 feet with no let up was a chore in itself, and I was able to do that at least, and the gear held up as well. Both the body, mind, and gear held up, bottom line. And the three things that I really needed was food, water, and shelter. Had a little hiccups here and there, but I was able to take care of that. Like I said, didn't need the axe and saw, but I took it with me because just in case it did get a bit too cold that my gear can't handle, I could at least be able to build a fire, a large fire at that. Biggest lesson that I've gotten from this so far is put out some caches of food on your route to your either bug in or bug out location. It'll save you a lot of weight. Like I said, I'm hauling 24 pounds of extra food with me, and that makes a hell of a lot difference when you're lugging all that crap with you. So yeah, get some food caches out there buried in the wherever your route is, or hidden, so you could travel light and fast, because right now I'm heavy and slow. A little bit of reality check. If this was a true bug out and you were bushwhacking, you're not going to have a clean cut, maintained trail to go home or to whatever location you're going to. This is it's a trail, and it's maintained pretty well so far from what I saw. If this wasn't, you could have had to crawl over this thing here, then another, then that big boy over there. So yeah, bushwhacking, you can add X amount of calories on top of what your expenditure is so far. And just climbing up this hill here, I've used up quite a bit of calories so far. If there's any lesson to be gained from this, is travel light. If you're going to hit some hills, if possible, lay out some caches, specifically food. Don't worry about the ammo and other crap that you probably won't need. Food is the number one thing, and a water container like a platypus, or a water filter, brand new, never used before. Almost had a disaster when I went to use my Sawyer Mini. There was no flow going through it. I thought I cleaned it out for the season, but it was left to dry out after back flushing it, and I think it still caused some problems, and I didn't get no flow out of it whatsoever. It's not until I put some warm water through it back and forth that it kind of let up a little bit, but that took a while. It took about an hour to get 12 ounces of clean water out of that, and in the meantime I used my alcohol stove to boil water and purify it that way. But yeah, biggest lesson here, bury some food caches and water filtration. That's all you need. Maybe a blade, but if you got your stuff with you, your Bugout bag or hiking bag or whatever, and you should already have all the major stuff that you don't need to bury. Well, this is your California winter. It's pretty wimpy compared to Minnesota, Alaska, and Finland. Shout out to Survival Technord. And the tip of keeping your mini Sawyer squeeze insulated within your body, because it'll freeze and the filter wafers in there will crack or whatever. Anyways, this is about my worst case scenario that I will face if I had a bug out. This is the worst. Then you got the other extreme of the summer, where water procurement will be more of a challenge, but that's what you got to do. You got to come out and recon your route to find out where those water sources are in all seasons. Also comes to mind is if you are going to do a winter bug out or something like that, pick a location that doesn't get much snow drift, where once you bury your cache on ground, one, the ground doesn't freeze, two, it doesn't get covered up by 10 feet of snow. That's kind of the realization I seen out here in this area here. Best thing to do is not bug out at all. My situation is I would have to bug in. More than likely, if there's a shit hit the fan scenario, I'll be out there possibly in the middle of things doing comm support. I'm just guessing, I don't know for sure. I'm not privy to disaster planning of that magnitude or crisis management, and a shit hit the fan when people are losing their minds because the food truck stopped rolling. Yeah, that's a crisis situation there. Yeah, if possible, bug in, stay in place. Maybe have a plan B. I'm a 47-year-old man in okay shape, I guess, compared to my peers around where I live at. And I had a little bit of difficulties going uphill on the way up. I could just imagine my daughters doing this, or even especially my wife. She's not into this at all. Both of them would have been crying at mile number 1, guaranteed. So that's something to think about, but luckily for me, they're usually at a 5-mile range from home, where I'm out and about working and stuff, possibly 60 miles away. Just awesome. Got to get out here and test your gear, validate it. You'll be rewarded with this. It's not a miserable night out. It's a beautiful night out if you're prepared with your gear and you validate it. You know, there's all this talk about prepping and bug out bags and stuff like that. All it is a glorified camping trip or hiking trip. It doesn't turn into an emergency situation until you lose something like your lighter, a way to make fire, or you just wasn't prepared enough for the cold, didn't bring enough insulation gear. But when you do, you could be out here for weeks. Spent 5 days out here and it's been great. I'll probably hit that up some summer someday. But in the meantime, this is no small potatoes either, that's for sure. Where's my precious? I left my precious. Holy shit. There's my precious. Hi, precious. I'm sorry I've forsaken you. I will never do that again. Yeah, I left this here 4 days ago. Must have dropped out of my pocket here. So I've been 4 days without any lip balm, and it sucked a little bit, but I'm all good now. This is where I spent my first night at. As a whim, I came down here again on my way back to see if I could find this again. Sure enough, there it is. Hell, I could stay 2 or 3 more days right here in this spot, especially during summer. Nice little wading pool right there. Alright.